What's good with y'all? My name is Danye. I'm 23.
I'm Marcia. I'm 31, and this is the
Hey Sissy podcast. How you guys doing? So pretty much it's me and my big sis right here. We started the Hey Sissy podcast. Pretty much why we're doing this podcast is because, as sisters, we have deep, wisdomatic, intellectual conversations, and we just wanted to be able to, share the wisdom and the things that we talk about with you guys and see if we can help y'all grow, help y'all relationships, sisters, brothers, cousins, mothers, so forth.
Yeah, so our goal for this podcast is essentially to explore different sisterships and how people are sisters and their relationships with their sisters or their lack of relationships with their sisters and how that affects their lives, and then see if we just offer some advice to people and then just share our perspective on things. So for today's episode, our first episode, we're going to ask each other questions, not specifically about sisters, but just in general about family or whatever comes up. Just to give a brief background of our sistership, I am the older sister, and this is my younger half-sister. We both share a mother.
I grew up in Delaware.
Yes, and I grew up in Houston. I was raised by my great aunt since 2 days old. And so even though we didn't grow up together, as you can see, we still talk together. We have a pretty good
relationship. Okay, so you posed a question to me. If there was one thing to change about our relationship, what would it be?
So I can only change one thing. It would be growing up together.
Okay.
That would be the only thing. Because even though I like our relationship now, I only saw you a couple of times a year once you moved to Delaware. So I've cherished our relationship more. I made sure to make it better and, try to solidify that. But it would have been better, obviously, if we grew up together.
I disagree with you.
What?
I do.
What? Okay.
I feel like us not growing up together actually, helped our relationship because we wanted to get to know each other. We wanted to, grow closer together. So I felt like if we would have grew up together, it probably could have caused a rift because a lot of things could have transpired in us growing up together. We could have resentment towards each other or whatever the case may be. So I think because we didn't grow up with each other, we had the opportunity to bond.
That's a very valid point. It's a valid point because I think we make more of an effort to be good sisters because we didn't grow up together.
You're a great sister. I love you.
I mean, honestly though, shout out to Nikki because Nikki was a great big sister to me.
Right.
So if it wasn't for Nikki, I wouldn't know how to be a good big sister to you.
Which is true because influence is very important and environment and, the way people treat you will reflect on how you would treat other people, which kind of goes into what our topic of discussion is going to be about. My sister mentioned family. So I'm going to start you off with a question.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the first question is, are we obligated to take care of our parents as the kids? And part 2 of that question is, if we become rich, do we take care of the family?
So as far as are you obligated to take care of your parents, I'm gonna say yes, but with a little caveat on the end. I say yes if your parents took care of you.
Right.
So in that way you are obligated because they raised you, they put in everything for you, made sure you had the best of whatever to build you up to be a successful person. Now if your parents didn't raise you or they abuse you or whatever, you're not obligated. But of course, if you're Christian, that goes into the whole aspect of forgiveness.
Right.
So it depends on who you are and your relationship with your parents. And then when you become rich, again, if they took care of you, you would want to take care of your parents if they took care of you. Hopefully you don't get rich and be like, it's been real, mama. Appreciate everything you did, but deuces. But parents like absentee parents, if they just pop up and be like, hey, I see you doing good. It's like in spite of you. So So I think it just depends. Of course, it's not. I don't think there's a blanket answer. But what do you want to say?
For me, I think yes and no. I kind of think no because it's like I ain't asked to be here. You know what I'm saying? It's just no, for real. It's like God gave me to you pretty much, and you gave life to me. I didn't ask to be here. So as the child, as the parent, you kind of have that responsibility to take care of me.
Do they?
I mean, they should. I mean, if that's an up in the air question, that's kind of a bad thing. Well, should I take care of my child? Should I not? I don't know. It should be, I should take care of my child. I don't think that parents should be like, I don't like the fact that parents be like, I took care of you, I raised you, you have to do this for me. It should not be like that. I feel like when I get established and I get in a place, I can make that decision to, hey, I want to help my mom, I want to help my dad out,
True.
And for the family thing, if I become rich, I ain't gonna help my family if they didn't help me. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't come here hungry with your hand out. You feel me? So it's just like, nah.
Yeah, I think with the obligation to take care of things, it's not so much an obligation, but in a way it is, but not if they like pose it as a payback type situation. Like if you can want to take care of your family, but they're like you said, well, I took care of you, so you owe me. It's like, no, I don't owe you. That is your responsibility as a parent to take care of your child. So it's not an owe situation. It's a, well, I took care of you because I love you. And then it's also, well, because you love me and because you took care of me, I'm going to take care of you too.
Right.
As long as the parent is not posing as a payback type situation. Yeah.
I feel you. And also, you guys, like, definitely give us y'all feedback on our answers, on the questions, your opinions, what you think. Comment down below, DM us, email us. Just let us know what you guys think of these questions and y'all answers and opinions on it. For sure. All right, so the second question I have is, how do you cut family off?
Simple. Don't answer their phone calls. But why?
If it was that simple.
It is, honestly, truly, it is. If your family is so toxic and every time you talk to them, it drains your energy or it depletes you emotionally and you feel torn down, don't answer their phone calls.
Right.
It's like if you know every time you answer, it's going to be drama or they got something negative to say or basically they're not speaking life over you. Why answer the phone?
Right.
You can honestly text. Be like, hey, I'm busy, what's up? And they can say whatever they need to say through text message. But that will at least allow you to not completely cut them off, but not for them to drain your energy. Because phone calls can be draining. So it's like if you need to cut them off, if you don't want to cut them off straight, no communication, do the whole text communication thing. But if you like, I never want to hear from you again, you can either be straight up, look, this relationship ain't working out. Right. I don't know what's going on with you, but I'm gonna step back until you figure out what's going on with you because this relationship ain't gonna work for me. You just ghost them. It's your choice. Of course, the more mature thing
to let them know.
Converse about it, but you can just step back if you need to.
So let me ask you this. How do you kind of get past the guilt of cutting them off or that, fact that they're your family and then like, for instance, if it's your mom, and you feel like your mom is kind of like toxic in your life, how do you get past that's my mom, I can't cut her off? How do you get past that to get to cutting her off?
I don't think you can though, because like you said, if it's that thing like a parent or a sibling, if you can't get past the guilt because you're gonna feel that way because that's your family. I mean, it's different if it's like a distant cousin. You're like, I ain't gotta talk to you, third cousin.
Right.
But
third cousin.
If it's
twice removed.
If it's somebody you've known for your whole 23 years of living, that's gonna hurt regardless. Right. But then you have to think, like, here's my question to you: why would you cut them off? Like, what do you define as toxic, and what would be the breaking point to where you feel like you would need to cut them off?
I feel like toxic is when you feel like you're pressured, when you feel like it's more negative and criticism than anything else. Definitely if there's any emotional, physical, or mental abuse, it's toxic. Yes. Or I feel like if all they do is take from you and they never give, I feel like that would be another reason to cut somebody off, cut your family off.
Do you think there would ever be a point where you would bring them back into your life?
It depends on, I would say it depends on them. And their growth. You see growth in people. You see change in people. So I wouldn't take them back in immediately. I would definitely give enough time for that person to definitely mature and grow. Then later on, I would try to communicate in some kind of way to try to maybe mend that relationship or rebirth it or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So
yes,
it all depends on the growth.
Okay. What's your next question?
You ain't got no question?
I did. I asked my question.
Oh, you piggybacking off of me?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's how I work.
Okay. How do you deal with a family member hurting you? Whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally. How do you deal with that?
We're gonna have to have a therapy session after this conversation.
Oh,
These some deep questions. There was something we need to talk about.
No.
I'm messing with you.
I was about to explain
We
you.
was like, wait a minute. So, how do you deal with it if someone's hurt you? It depends on what they've done. Of course, if it's a fight, you have to decide, is this is this family relationship worth saving after that fight?
Right.
Because, of course, family gonna fight. It happens. Nikki and I have been like a couple of fights growing up and stuff, and we had like one fight when we were adults.
Right.
But it wasn't this. You have to, I guess, look at the situation kind of objectively and decide, okay, was that fight worth ending our relationship? And you have to be like, basically yes or no. Like, do I forgive that person? Do I think I can still see them and be cordial, respectful, and actually still have that connection we had before?
Right.
But if the fight resolved and you looking at them in a different way or treating them in a different way, then, I mean,
So what if like a family member touched you, maybe raped you, or oh my gosh, volume off. What if a family member touched you or raped you or you were abused? How do you move past that? How do you forgive that person? How do you, not put it on yourself, but can progress after that? And then, a lot of times, Woman That Are Loose is the perfect example. She was molested or raped by her mom's boyfriend. Her mom didn't believe her. Years later, she still was holding on to that, that pain. How do you deal with that?
So there's a couple of things. So in July, I went to the Woman Evolve conference in Denver, and T.D. Jakes spoke, and he said that you have to understand the difference between weakness and wickedness. So depending on how they hurt you, you have to think, was it a weakness, a character flaw? So if they lashed out at you verbally and they're going through a rough situation, that's a weakness. But if they raped you, that was intentional. They decided to do that. That's wickedness. You don't have to forgive wickedness. You definitely need to separate yourself away from wickedness. But if you are internalizing it as something that is your fault, then you're going to need help with that. That's not something you can solve on your own. So that's where you get counseling, therapy, or whatever you need to deal with that. But you have to understand the difference between weakness and wickedness. Someone who's going to intentionally hurt you, either sexually or intentionally say verbally abusive stuff to you, that person's kind of a wicked person. That's not a weakness. You don't just say intentionally hurtful things to people out of weakness. But somebody might get mad and be like, well, that's why your daddy didn't love you.
Right.
That's a weakness. Something going on in their life that they just trying to lash out on you. Right. So that you can't step back, of course, be like, you know what, I know you're going through some things. You do you, I'm gonna do me for a little bit. Right. But if they intentionally hurt you to violate you and cause trauma, that's a cutoff situation.
I feel you. For me though, one thing I would say, kind of opposite of you, I would say you still have to forgive.
Oh yeah.
That person. Even though what they did was wicked, you still have to forgive that person, because if you don't forgive them, it's gonna be hard for you to move past it. Yeah. So if you don't forgive that person, you're always going to have that strife against that person, that grief against that person, that, piece of you at the back of your mind haunting you. You won't forget, but when you don't forgive, it's just the haunting is just so much more elevated.
Yes.
So I feel like for situations like that, a person, like you said, should really get help.
Mm-hmm.
And they should really figure out, okay, how do I see myself after this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think when something like that happens to a person with any kind of abuse, a person shouldn't immediately react to it, even though it's gonna hurt. I think they should sit down, take the time to figure out like, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? What is happening to me? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that analyzation, then react to it. You know.
Mm-hmm. It's easy. That's one of them things that are easier to say,
right?
Because when something traumatic happens to you, you ain't gonna be able to step back and assess.
Right.
You in the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that sounds good to do, but it's very hard to actually practice.
Right.
But of course, it just depends on how well that person can cope with traumatic situations. If they've been through trauma before, it may be easier for them to cope with a new traumatic situation, but it just depends on that person's mindset, their coping skills, and if they have someone that they can immediately turn to.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the forgiveness things go, yes, you have to forgive people, but not for them, for your own sanity, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But also, forgiveness doesn't mean you keep that person in your life.
Right.
You can immediately cut somebody off and just be like, and work on the forgiveness part.
Right.
But the forgiveness is for you yourself. It is definitely not for them. I think that's what a lot of people, when they hear you say, oh, you have to forgive that person, they immediately go, no.
Right.
But it's like, it's learning that the forgiveness is for you.
And not for them.
No.
Right.
Because if you don't forgive them, like you say, it will haunt you.
Right.
And it will tear you up inside, and that person has moved on. But that takes time, and that's going to take a long road.
Right.
So, yeah.
How do you not let negative family environment like affect your mentality, like your motivation, your dreams? Because a lot of times, if we grow up, you know, sometimes our parents or our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, whoever it may be, bash us. They talk about us. They yell at you. They call you names. A whole bunch of stuff. So how do you not let that affect your ability, your dreams, your motivation, to do what you want to do? And another thing on top of that.
Okay.
Oh wait, did I have another thing?
So I'm gonna answer the first part.
Okay, go ahead.
So what I would say is, I think once you learn about the psychology of people, you learn that people say things that they believe about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're not actually talking about you. They're talking about themselves. If they don't believe in themselves, they definitely ain't gonna believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to be like, I don't need you to believe in me, because I got God and I got myself, and that's all I need, until God puts people in my life who do believe in me.
Right.
And that may be hard to get to. So of course, I always recommend read the Bible. The Bible always gonna tell you that you are a child of God. God created you for a purpose. So when in doubt, read the Bible. And also read other books that solidify that idea that you have a purpose. You have gifts, and those gifts can take you places. And it just basically just builds you up. You gotta build yourself up.
Right.
And here's another type of cut the situation off. But that person always speaking ill will of you, speaking negativity, and you don't need that death spoken into your life.
Right.
Separate yourself. Don't talk to those people. I mean, it's okay to not talk to family if family is toxic.
But what if you are living in a house, you 13, 14, you're a teenager, or, you know, and you can't just up and leave or just, you know, stop talking to them. How do you deal with that?
Why you can't?
Oh. But what if, okay, you stop talking to them and then they're not cooking you dinner, they're not buying you clothes, they're not doing stuff for you. How you going, where your livelihood?
Some people have other family they can go to. You don't have to live with your parents if your parents are emotionally, physically abusing you. And if that's the case, talk to another adult, a teacher, a counselor, someone. They can help you get out of that situation. Like, it's just, sometimes it's hard advocating for yourself. But that's essentially what it comes down to, advocating for yourself. So if you are a teenager living with your parents and your parents are causing you such emotional turmoil, try to find somebody else to talk to. Let them know what's going on. They can see if they can put you somewhere else, get you counseling or whatever. If you don't want to leave your parents and you just want them to be better people, tell them. If they lash out at you emotionally or whatever, get help. But you don't have to stay there.
Right.
Some people do have grandparents, aunts, uncles, or whoever they can live with. And if you don't, I mean, you can tough it out and just be like, 368 days, so I'm 18, and I can leave. Some kids, you can file for, what is it called? Kids can emancipate themselves from their parents. And I think once you do that, you have all kinds of other legal rights to go get jobs, get your own apartment, whatever. There's always means to get away from toxic family.
Right. Okay.
The theme of today's episode, toxicity of
Oh,
family.
oh wow. You got any questions?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let me talk about the negative side of family up until
Okay.
this point. So what is one of the best benefits of having a family?
I guess the memories are the best moments of having a family. Because like they say, you know, you never know how long a person is here. So just creating those memories with your family, whether if it's just going to the park or y'all just going out to eat, you know, just having those moments where it kind of just feel like everything is just at a peace. I think those are the best moments, even if it's fake. Family reunion and a whole bunch of drama and you know it.
Yeah.
But just knowing that everybody can just for a moment relax, have that peace and just love each other and enjoy each other's company. I think that's, I guess, the best positive thing, even though they may drive you crazy, they get on your nerves.
Keep it positive.
A lot of things happen. You know, just knowing that, you know, those are the people who you have in your life. And you create those memories with those people. And, you know, and I think another positive thing about family is just the kind of lessons that you learn. Even though not all the lessons may be good lessons, I think,
Never mind. Continue.
okay. Even though not all the lessons are good, I feel like just having those lessons learned within that threshold, that inside of the home instead of outside, is still kind of good. You know? So yeah.
I think another benefit of family, if you have a nice, decent, quality family, is that when times get hard, you do have people who you know will help you in the most difficult times. You know, people not to so much fall back on, but you know, if you needed them, they come for you.
Right.
That is a good benefit of family. And sometimes when you do have terrible family, you have friends that are like family. And so that's a really good benefit, is knowing that when times get tough, you have people you can depend on.
Right.
And then also, if you have a good, like I said, good quality family, you do have people who will root for you.
Right.
Who will build you up and who will support your dreams.
I also think another good point is having somebody to go to, like you were saying, go to, talk to, support you. I think a lot of times in today's society, we have got caught up in this idea of I can do it myself, I don't need nobody else.
Yeah.
I came here alone, I could die alone. If you were a twin or a triplet, you can't say that, because you didn't come here alone. You was alone for all of 60 seconds.
Up to 5 minutes.
And then poof, there's a sibling. But I also think, you know, like you said, you have that friendship that can be like family. So the idea of I can do it alone, I can handle it on my own. I think having that friend, even if it's just one or two, good solid friendships, helps you to deal with life, deal with things, deal with situations. So don't ever, for people, like, I don't think they should ever take the mentality, I can do it alone, I should do it alone, I should be alone. Because you're always going to need somebody for something to help you with something. So definitely find those people that you can use to get you there. Even your enemies.
Not use.
Not you. Okay, not you.
Work with.
Work with. Excuse me.
Don't be like, look, I'm just using you for temporary until I get to where I need to go.
Right. Yes, we have to be careful of that. Very much so. Yes. Okay. All right. Do you motivate complacent family or stagnant family members, or do you let them be?
Good question. High five.
Yeah.
So my stance on this is that you try to the point where you're not working harder than they are. Because obviously, if they complacent, then they just like la 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 la. This is cool, but you can try to motivate them in that you just ask them questions. You're like, yo, okay, oh, I see you like this. Would you, be interested in doing that for whatever reason? And they may be like, I don't know. But you continue to encourage them. Don't try to push them to do anything. The goal is just to talk to them and basically be a supportive voice and encourage them. Be like, you know what, you're really good at that. I think you should, try to pursue that. And they might be like, nah, I don't know, nah. And you just be like, it's okay. You may not want to be interested in it now, but maybe later. And then, in the future, if they do it again, see, I'm telling you, you need to really get into this. And they just be like, oh, because at some point, they gonna hear you, and they gonna do it, and then something they maybe not, If they that complacent, they just might be like, well, we'll see. Well, I hope so, And you just be like, keep hoping, we'll see.
So you think you should do it just like a periodic encouragement here and there every time you?
It should be forceful,
Okay.
Don't be like, do it now. No.
Okay. I can cut that part out. What I was going to say is also, what I've kind of learned is that you can't change someone who doesn't want to be changed.
Exactly.
As much as you may try to pressure them or, hope for them, encourage them, motivate them, if they don't want to do it, you cannot make them do anything they don't want to do.
Nope.
And so that's why I kind of posed that question. Yeah.
People change when they want to change.
Right.
Of course, you can model good behavior, model what success looks like, but that person could just be like, that's cool for you, and still not change.
Right.
That's why you just got to worry about you in those situations. Still try to do your part, but know that person changes when they change.
Right. How do you handle not having support or validation from your family?
I guess it kind of goes along with your earlier question. How do you deal with family? No, whatever. How do you handle lack of support from family as far as like any particular area?
So like, a lot of times we look for that, good job, son, good job, daughter.
Validation.
We look for that, okay, family, I'm starting this business, support me.
Yeah.
We look for that well done. It's the how do we handle not getting that from them?
I guess it goes along with having those people who do validate you, looking towards those people and just accepting really that everybody's not gonna root for you. Everyone's not gonna be on your side. Some people gonna look at you sideways while you're doing your thing, and some people just gonna be like, I'm just gonna watch her and see if she fails.
Right.
And then you can do about it. You either gotta find that validation within yourself, which is ideal, or look to God, be like, I don't need your validation because I know the Lord on my side, or go to people who do validate you, which are sometimes friends or close family members. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta accept it. If you ain't got it by now, you ain't gonna get it from them.
Right. So you just gotta kind of like let it go. Stop trying to force the issue.
Basically, you can't force nobody to do nothing.
Right.
And that's one thing I got in my head it helps a lot. It hurts sometimes. You're like, dang, I wish such and such would do more of this or do more of that. But then I remember, can't force nobody to do nothing.
Right, and I think that's a good point. Like you said, it hurts. I think a lot of times we take a I don't care kind of mentality towards it to try to think that we can override the care that we actually feel. I think, like you said, it hurts. Once you accept the fact that it hurts and you know that it hurts, but you move forward, like, okay, Dad, I got this business, but my family is supporting me. That sucks. But it's like, I got 100 other people that want to support me. That's what I need to look at. It hurts, but I got these people, and I can't leave these people hanging for my family. So I think you saying that actually like brings a very valid point to it. think that acceptance, one pastor said, you're not oblivious to your reality, but your interpretation of it is different.
Exactly.
So you know that your family's not supporting you. You know it hurts, but you take it on differently. Okay, it sucks, it hurts, but I got all these people who, like what I said before.
Be grateful for what you have. Don't be looking back at what you don't have.
Right.
If you got all these people supporting you, be like, well, thank God that those people support me. I am grateful that I have all these strangers willing to bet on me. Just look at it like that.
And then, you never know. Eventually, even though once you want to come up, your family kind of like, oh, hey, what's up? Good job. At the same time, you can kind of smile about it, and it's like, you know what? Even though it took you 5 years to recognize that I'm doing something with my life, you recognize it, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
So even if it is because you got a lot more money now, or you got a better job, and it don't matter, whatever the case may be, they recognize it, and I think like, okay, you know what? You recognized it, my accomplishments, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then still keep going.
Yeah.
Yep. So
keep moving forward. Yeah.
You got any other questions, comments?
I do.
Okay.
So, despite everything, what is your happiest moment with any member of your family? Because I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Whenever I think about how much I love my family, it always comes back to Christmas. Christmas is my favorite holiday only because it's when all my family comes together and we all have a great time. We do this white elephant party. We, go all out and all participate. And whatever quorums or issues we had before then is basically like none, because we all have the spirit of like just spending good quality time and loving our family.
Right. I would say my cruise.
What happened on this cruise?
I took a cruise for my graduation present from high school, and we went to the Bahamas. And I would say that was just a time of peace and fun. We were just all enjoying each other's company, having dinner every night, laughing, talking. That probably was the best memory.
There we go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, people. Thank you for joining us on our first episode of Hey Sissy.
Hey Sissy.
So for the next episode, we'll figure out something to do. This is our first time doing this, so it's a work in progress.
Yeah, let us
know what you think we should talk about in the future. Our goal is to invite other sisters on, people who have good relationships with their sisters, not so good relationships with their sisters, and just exploring different type of sister situationships. So, thank you for joining us on our first podcast.
Thank you.
Yay!
Hey, Sissy.
Bye.
Bye.